John Candy was one of Canada's most beloved entertainers, a man whose warmth and humor define an era of comedy. Best known for films like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Cool Runnings, and Spaceballs, Candy had a gift for making audiences feel like they knew him personally. Behind the fame, though, was a man who cherished his family, his Canadian roots, and the private spaces he called home. Today we're remembering John Candy not only for his iconic career, but also by revisiting the homes he lived in. Homes that in many ways reflect the story of his life. John Franklin Candy was born on October 31st, 1950 in Ontario, just north of Toronto in Canada. His upbringing was modest, and it was shaped by both joy and hardship. When John was only 5 years old, his father Sidney passed away from complications of heart disease, leaving his mother Evangeline to raise John and his older brother Jim largely on her own. Those early years in small-town Ontario gave John a deep sense of empathy and humility, qualities that would later show in every character he played on screen. As Candy grew up, he discovered a love for sports, particularly football, and even dreamed of becoming a professional player before an injury steered him towards acting. After attending Neil McNeill Catholic High School in Scarborough, he studied briefly at Centennial College and McMaster University before diving headfirst into comedy. His breakthrough came when he joined Toronto's Second City Troupe, where his larger-than-life presence quickly made him a fan favorite. From there, his star only rose higher, leading him to Hollywood and into the hearts of millions. But even as his fame exploded, Candy never forgot his Canadian roots. He owned property in Ontario, including a home in Strathroy Caradoc, southwest of London, Ontario. And that house, which stood for decades along Longwoods Road, became something of a quiet landmark to fans who stumbled across it. Sadly, after years of neglect, it fell into disrepair and was ultimately demolished in 2022. Visitors who saw the property before it was torn down described it as eerie, with old boards scattered about, fragile stairs, and even a 1994 copy of the Toronto Sun left behind, with the front page dedicated to Candy's untimely passing. The home felt frozen in time, like a relic from another life. Though it's gone now, the Ontario residence symbolizes John's deep connection to Canada, the place where his story began. Eventually, like many stars, Candy relocated to Los Angeles, where he purchased a sprawling estate in the exclusive neighborhood of Mandeville Canyon. This home was the definition of Hollywood luxury. Spanning over 13,000 square feet, the mansion featured 5 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, surrounded by lush gardens, waterfalls, and pines. There was a tennis court, a sparkling pool with a pool house, and even private walking trails carved into the landscape. The architecture blended seamlessly into the surrounding hills, creating a retreat that offered both privacy and tranquility. For a man who was constantly in the spotlight, this home gave John a space to breathe, to reflect, and to spend time with his wife Rosemary and their 2 children, Jennifer and Christopher. But this wasn't John's only Los Angeles property. Records also show that he owned a Brentwood compound that included a guest house, a gym spanning 2,500 square feet, and more gardens and outdoor spaces where family and friends could gather. That property eventually sold for around $4.5 million, but during Candy's lifetime, it was a place where laughter was never in short supply. It's easy to imagine John hosting backyard barbecues, swapping stories with fellow comedians, or simply enjoying quiet evenings with his family here. Inside, Candy's home reflected his personality, welcoming, warm, and full of character. Friends and family often described him as a collector of memories more than material things. But it said his houses were full of Canadian memorabilia, sports gear, and reminders of where he came from. Tragically, John Candy's life was cut short at just 43 years old. In March 1994, while filming the movie Wagons East in Mexico, he suffered a fatal heart attack. His passing sent shockwaves around the world, and to this day he remains one of the most missed figures in comedy. But while he may be gone, his legacy lives on not only in his films, but in the homes and places he cherished. From his demolished Ontario house to his magnificent Los Angeles estate, John Candy's residences tell a story of growth, success, and a man who never stopped being true to himself. They are reminders that behind the fame and fortune, John Candy was above all else a family man A gentle, generous soul who valued laughter and love above everything else. So while we can no longer walk through the halls he once did, we can still honor his memory by remembering the joy he brought to our homes, and the spaces that once brought joy to his. Rest in peace, John Candy. Your homes might be gone, but your legacy will never be forgotten. Thanks for watching Famous Entertainment.